Great. Now that you've read the introduction material for this lab, you're in a much better position than pretty much everyone who works with AF. Using a value-orientated approach, building out your asset framework puts you in a really good position to gain some quick value out of your investments in Pi, and at the same time, it gives you a really quick and easy route to expand. This lab is not your traditional lab from OSIsoft in that we don't use pumps or motors or tanks. We're using a slightly different piece of equipment in this lab. So what we're doing is we're working with a packaging line. The packaging line is made up of a set of form, fill, and seal machines. In the video that's currently running, you can see that the machine works by having a loaded form of plastic put in the top. The top part forms it. This just turns it into basically a big plastic sock. At the bottom, there's a crimp that comes in and crimps it. That is the seal part, and then a hopper, or in this case a nozzle, fills the packet with the product. Our product is not going to be soup like you see here. We're working with a company called Sweet and Savory Corp, and what we do is we package salt and sugar for other companies. Now, having seen a form, fill, and seal machine in real life, we're just going to go ahead and jump into Pi System Explorer. This is the AF client. You should be relatively familiar with it. And we're going to just have a look at where we are. The way this system is set up, we've got two separate environments. There's a production and a sandbox. Now, in the real world, these would probably be separate databases, but for the sake of argument for this class, just to make it a little bit easier to switch back and forth, we've put them as just different sections in the hierarchy. Now, the production environment is built according to the best practices we're going to talk about during this lab. So that has got units 7 to 20 of the form, fill, and seal machines. And then the sandbox, which is where we're going to be working, this has the first 6 assets. So the sort of information that we are monitoring about our form, fill, and seal machines, we've got a couple of pieces of information with regards to identification. We've got some metrics that calculate the overall equipment effectiveness. And then we've got some process data. Now, if you are having the same issue I am, where it's taking a long time to retrieve the data, that's a good thing, because it's one of the problems we're going to go ahead and fix later on in the lab. So if you see this in some of your systems, this is really something you can look at. But the identification, we're looking at asset information, when it was last serviced, what product it is, and this is generally information that's going to come from a asset maintenance system. So whichever asset management system you work with, we can generally import that data. The overall equipment effectiveness, this is some metrics that we are calculating on our side, and that gives you a bit of information about your asset. Now, if you are interested in OEE, in this lab we don't go into the calculation of it. We do go into working with analyses a little bit, but if you are interested in overall equipment effectiveness, a great place for you to go is pisquare.osisoft.com, and then just search for the asset-based example kit for OEE. It's not a solution that we hand out, but it is a great place to go and get some ideas on how to apply OEE in your environment. And then we've got some process data where we've got a totalizer coming from the control system. The operator in this instance is entered in an HMI before the operator can start up the machine. We're looking at maybe some packaging rate targets, what product size we're bagging, and then a bit of information about the sealer temperature. Now in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up Pi Vision, and you are the Pi System Administrator for this site. You have scheduled a meeting with one of the engineers, and you want to show off a bit of the work that you've done in PiAF and Pi Vision, and you've asked the engineer, smart or not, but you've asked the engineer to do some fault finding for you. And we know engineers love finding fault with things. So what you're going to do is in the next video, we're going to go through some displays, find a couple of issues. We'll note them down, and then the next part of the lab after that will be applying some of our best practices and fixing those issues.